We okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Women Behind the Business. This is our series inside Women in Business Australia, where we sit down with incredible women from our community and get to know the women behind the brand. So today I am joined by the beautiful Sara Klank. Sara is a life alignment coach who supports self-aware women, who feel stuck in lives that they have outgrown. Through one-on-one coaching, counselling techniques, meditation, intuition, and spiritual practices, Sara helps women reconnect with themselves. They get clear on what they truly want and start taking brave, aligned action towards a life that actually fits. But today is not just about what Sara does, it's about the woman behind the business, her journey, her lessons, the seasons that shaped her, and the work that she is building now. So, Sara, thank you so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
For having me. Yeah, it's such an honor to be able to use this platform to talk about the work that I do and how I do it. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yay! All right, let's jump straight into it. So, Sara, now I just need to confirm, is it Sarah or Sarah?
It's Sarah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I should have asked that question first.
That's
Sarah.
all right.
Sarah. All right. Sarah, can you please tell us a little bit about who you are, but beyond the business?
Yeah, so when I'm not businessing, I am a mum of a 2.5-year-old who is so gorgeous and so completely crazy. And I live with my partner and our senior whippet in a small coastal town called Ocean Grove. We moved here maybe 4 or so months ago from Melbourne, and that was me definitely following my intuition to being close to the ocean. And aligning parts of my life, which I'll kind of talk about later. And yeah, I'm really into spirituality, so practicing yoga, I meditate every day, very into the beach and nature and the outdoors, and just having a good laugh, a good pun. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Love it. All right. So you describe yourself as a life alignment coach. What does life alignment mean to you?
Yeah, great question. So, hard to pinpoint in words, but for me, life alignment is when your external reality matches the person that you are. So being really authentic with yourself, with other people, and building a life around you that represents that. So for me, I feel so called to being close to the ocean, which I said before. And so part of aligning my life is being near the ocean as best as I can. It's about me being authentic with my partner, but also with my colleagues and the people that I meet at yoga and that sort of thing. So it does require a lot of courage to say, the life that I've been living doesn't fit me anymore. I've built so much success and that's not what I want it to look like now. And then to go after something that you really do want. So yeah, like I said, it's matching your out. It's having a world around you that really represents who you are.
I love that. And
Mm.
I do a lot of work online and coach a lot of people on that sort of that alignment. And it's what you share
Mm.
online to what you share offline, and making sure that, who you are in both instances is actually the same person, because
Yeah.
there's a very big disconnect and a gap if you're someone completely different to who you are online. So I believe in
Yeah.
that alignment.
Yeah, and I think like the key piece of that is authenticity.
Mhm.
Definitely after having my son, it just sort of woke me up a little bit to, where am I not being authentic in my life? Because I don't have the energy to do that anymore. And it also is unfulfilling. It feels not true. So I'm very committed to living as authentically and as in alignment with the person that I am. That's a really strong value for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So take us back to the beginning. What was happening in your own life that led you to start this work?
Oh, it's a bit of a long one, so I'll try and give like the summary version of it. But basically my whole life, I was a high achiever, a people pleaser, top of the class, worked really hard, was the good girl kind of thing, very self-aware. Went into community services, working mostly with quite vulnerable, marginalized communities. Um, and did that work for a while because it really lit me up. And then over time, especially around COVID, it just didn't feel the same anymore. But that was hard for me to accept because that was a huge part of who I was. I was this community services professional working with young people who were using drugs and alcohol, that kind of thing. So to everyone else, I looked really successful, but to me, it felt quite, the work started feeling quite empty and meaningless in a way. And then at the same time, I'd gone sort of in and out of relationships that had become quite toxic. Um, and I was running away from who I really was. I was really disconnected from myself. I was ignoring the fact that I'm quite a spiritual person and I love that. And so to compensate of running from myself, I was binge drinking. I had a really unhealthy relationship with food. I was partying a lot and I was very busy. So I didn't have to sit with myself. Fast forward a few years, still in the sector, I got really sick. I developed quite a debilitating autoimmune disease that sort of took me in and out of hospital. And then it got to the point where it was so severe, I had to go through the emergency department. And that was my rock bottom, hearing how far the disease had spread through my body and the impacts that it had was horrendous. And so after I was told that news and I was in this room isolated by myself, thinking, how has this happened to me? It was honestly, Jayde, it was like a switch flipped for me. And the sensation was like waking up. It was like I could zoom out of my life and see all of the issues and how they had played out. And the root cause of all of that was like, I'm not honoring the woman that I've become. I'm not being true to myself. So after having that realization and realizing what needed to change, over years, I rebuilt my life in a way that did reflect who I was. I started being authentic with everyone. I had a child because that's what I really wanted to do, even though that was terrifying. I, left the sector to start my own business because I wanted something more. I wanted to serve in a different way. And I have a really healthy relationship now with a partner. So a lot of these changes have been through struggle, but I knew I needed to hit that point to get the clarity that I have. And so now I support other women in that same space of, they're really self-aware, they're doing all the personal development work, they're listening to podcasts, self-help books, but they still can't figure out what's wrong. They still feel like empty and unfulfilled. So I'm really passionate about supporting women who are stuck in that place for years, because I was, to remember who they are and to live in alignment with that.
Oh, I love that. And thank you for sharing like some of the, the most vulnerable parts of your story. But I love that moment where, you just felt like you woke up and it's just like, I've felt that as well. And it's like, you can't keep doing this to yourself. And then you see everything and, it can look like walking away from toxic people. It can look like really taking a really hard look at yourself and just going, what the hell have I been doing to myself? And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah. And I do have a lot of compassion for myself because I was doing my best. Like I was trying to cope and get through it. And it's only now like we can kind of look back and see what was happening. And I think the challenge for me is like, because I consider myself to be really self-aware and I was counseling people, helping them to get to the root cause, but I couldn't figure it out for myself. So I felt a lot of shame around that, like something was wrong with me. And I didn't access support because it was like, I should know what's
mm,
wrong. I should be able to fix this myself. So I speak really honestly around, that challenge for women who are very self-aware of like, we can't see it's hard to sometimes see our own blind spots.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I feel that considerably.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely not alone in that. So,
Mhm.
you shared that for years you felt like you were running from your true self, and you've kind of sort of already answered that, even, while your life looks successful from the outside. But what did
Mm.
that season actually teach you?
I think one thing that I have really realized, and this is my personal belief, that as human beings, we are here to evolve. Look at the
Mm,
experience from when we're born to becoming toddlers, to becoming children, adolescents. We are constantly evolving and learning. But for many of us, we hit adulthood and that kind of stops. Um, I know people that have been in the same jobs for like 20 plus years,
yeah.
and we get really comfortable and we feel like, okay, I've kind of peaked, so I don't need to evolve anymore. And for me, I started stagnating.
Mm,
I started feeling like something was off. Um, so I think that's been a real lesson for me, is that when we stop evolving and we don't allow that evolvement to happen, that we start to feel like something is missing or something is off, or that the
mm,
life that we're living isn't true to who we are now. And I also have learned that all of the answers that I'm looking for are inside of me. You know, I was looking for answers in books, podcasts, like I was saying, listening to other experts. And it's like I'm the expert in my own life. And that's what I do in my coaching. Is like I don't tell you what predominantly the issue is or what you need to do about it, or the steps you need to take. I support you so that you can do that for yourself, because that's way more empowering. You are the expert in your own life. I am too. So I think building a relationship with myself as well has been so healing and so
mm.
important. And now I can access far more clarity than I've ever been able to before, because I have that relationship with myself now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah,
Mm.
no, that's just beautiful. You support women, who feel stuck in lives that they've outgrown. So what are some of the signs that a woman may be out of alignment but not fully realize it yet?
Oh, that's such a good question. Um, and I'll talk about my experience, and this is what I kind of see in my clients as well. Um, Definitely experiencing things like dread and anxiety. For me, it was in the work context, so the Sunday night dread of, oh my God, I've got to go to work tomorrow, and driving into work feeling like something's off. When you're creating things or doing things at work that you should be proud of, but you don't, it feels
Mm,
kind of like, oh, it's just another thing that I'm doing. For me as well, in the relationship context, feeling like you can't be yourself in relationships that matter. So being with a partner and you're kind of toning yourself down, or catching up with your old high school friends and they're talking about stuff that, you don't really resonate with anymore, but you're kind of going along with it, saying yes when you mean no. I think they're all signs of we're not being authentic to ourselves.
yeah,
That works for me. When I do see stuff like
yeah,
that in our clients. And also this overwhelming sense of like, I'm not tapping into my potential. I'm hearing that a lot of like, I feel like I'm meant to serve in a different way. Or there's more I'm meant to be doing, or I want to know what my meaning and purpose is. I think those questions really show up when you're on this path where you've kind of outgrown your life and you need to kind of evolve.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's one thing to say, well, I've got this, I need to find this purpose, but really, again, you answered it before. The answer is inside yourself, and only you can answer that. You can be guided
Yeah.
to help you
Yes.
find that, but
Yeah.
it's really getting honest with yourself and, really believing in yourself too. Because
Yeah.
you've
I
got
believe
that belief. Yeah.
Yeah, believing that you have the capacity to hold those answers as well. I think as well, like with AI, I'm sure everyone's talking about it. We're looking for more information. We're being flooded with it. So that confuses us even more. So that's why I really see value in the work that I'm doing, is teaching women how to go inwards again, how
Mm,
to tap into their intuition and get quiet enough to hear that voice that is guiding you, because it lives in all of us.
yeah. Wow. I'm loving what you're doing. It's amazing. It sounds amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
So your work blends coaching, counseling techniques, meditation, intuition, and spiritual practices. So how do
Yep.
those pieces actually come together in a way that you support women?
Yeah. So I think, and this is the thing, when I started working in community services, part of me had a little freak out of like, I have all these skills and now I'm starting again. And I don't want to do that. I do see benefit in therapeutic techniques and blending them in the coaching skills that I have as well through my certification and that sort of thing. So um, the way that it kind of works is, yes, I use coaching frameworks and practices, but also tapping into the therapeutic interventions that I feel called to using. So things like acceptance and commitment therapy, which is really big on getting clear on your values and using them as a compass for life. Mindfulness is a big part of ACT therapy as well. You know, learning the ability to watch your thoughts and kind of diffusing from them. That's all kind of acceptance and commitment therapy. And then also behavior change, especially working in drug and alcohol. People are wanting to reduce their substance use. So that requires changing behaviors. And for me, when I'm working with clients now, yes, we're talking about the life that they want to live, but they're actually doing it as well. They're taking steps towards it. And it means behaving in a way that they might not have behaved before. So understanding how that all works and drawing that into my practice. And then in terms of spirituality, I believe firmly that we are not just our minds. We are more than that. We are far more intelligent than that. And our body holds a lot of that wisdom. Our soul, which resides in our body, holds a lot of that wisdom. So incorporating things like I'll guide meditations in my sessions or sort of coach people around tapping into their intuition, which I believe is the voice of the soul. And everyone's intuition speaks to them in different ways. So getting clear on how it speaks to you. Um, and supporting women to get quiet enough to hear the answers within them. That's sort of how coaching works with all of those things. And it's completely led by the woman that I'm working with and what she needs in that moment. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And look, I'm a very spiritual person, so I
Right.
feel all of that. But
Yes.
you're sort of teaching me, that we have a voice in our soul. Like that's not something that I've sort of looked for. But I think of when someone passes, like if we didn't have a soul, if we didn't listen to that, you know, that's the only thing that leaves when we pass on. And that's
Yeah.
just something that came to mind while you were speaking about that. And it's like, oh, maybe I really need to open up and listen to myself a little bit more. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, and the way that the soul communicates to people is all different. Some people it's when they're walking in nature and they hear this like voice inside of themselves, or they're dancing or moving, and all of a sudden they get an intuitive hit. So it's different for everyone. But
mm,
I do believe our soul knows our meaning and purpose for this life, and it's just about allowing it to speak to you because especially for women, we're very logical, very rational. So we think out concerning the problems. So, coaching women to be like, okay, that's really important. That's an incredible skill to have. But there's also this other brain that lives inside of you, this other form of wisdom. So let's get curious about that.
yeah. And I think it's well needed. Like there will be so many women out there that who may even be watching this going, oh, there's something I'm missing here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So I'm going to touch and just be a little bit raw and real here. So you mentioned that your part of the journey included binge drinking and restrictive eating signs and behaviors, sorry, as signs that you were running from yourself. It's like a coping mechanism, right? So how did that realization change the way that you saw yourself in your life?
Hmm. Very powerful question there, Jade.
Mm,
Um, both of those behaviors had a lot of shame around them. Um, and when we live in a state of shame, we're even more disconnected from ourselves. We're not feeling things like compassion and grace and that kind of thing. For me, when I look back, it's like, of course I was disconnected from myself. It was like any moment that I was alone, I needed to fill the void either with food or with alcohol, because it's like I was scared of what I was going to unearth. Like, oh my
Mm.
God, what if my voice did say I need to leave my partner, and it did eventually. I didn't want to hear that. So doing those things, the eating stuff was around control, feeling like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know who I am. I'm going to control my food. And then the binge drinking was to kind of numb everything because it felt
Mm.
too overwhelming. Now I'm really proud to say that I'm over 3 years sober. I'm going to be 4 years sober, and I just can't believe it.
Yay.
I have a really healthy relationship with food, and for me, they're signs that I am on the right track.
Mm. And it's
Mm.
such a different, but as you said before, like you were doing what was best for you at the time, what you
Yeah,
thought
I
was
was in
best at the
survival.
time. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I was doing the things that I needed to just show up every day and to cope. Like, yeah, they weren't the most healthy ways of coping, but I was doing what I could, and also hiding these behaviors. Because again, I was like, I'm self-aware. I should know the
Mm.
answers to these things, and I don't. So, doing it in private and that kind of thing. Um, So for me, yeah, I I wished obviously that I knew that they were cries for help, but I didn't at the time. So I did it for a really long time. And they also contributed to I believe personally, to my autoimmune disease and me getting so sick, which was the real wake up call.
Mm. Yeah. But
Mm.
again, like I can see where we sit in shame from that. And I've had my own
Yeah,
addictions before. Like I get it. And
yeah,
to be able to just survive is to numb yourself, and that's how you deal with everything. And
yeah,
sometimes that's the only way that you can see that you can actually function. So
yes.
I get it. I get it. And that's probably something that
Mm.
I've never touched on either, but it's
Oh,
there, so it will come out.
no,
But
thanks,
thank
Jay.
you for being honest and authentic and real, because we're not alone in all of this. And if
No,
there's someone out there that's listening to this, and that you know doesn't think that there is any way through this, that there is,
yeah,
when you start looking within, and maybe sometimes you need to get help, and it's okay to ask for help. And that's some of the biggest things that
yeah,
women, and as a mum and as a woman and everything, all the hats that we wear, it can be really hard to ask for help. So
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So you've got over 15 years of experience in community services. How has that shaped the way that you hold space for women now in your business?
Yeah, I'm honestly so grateful I had that experience, because it was all about holding space. And especially because most of it was working with young people. They were deeply craving someone to be present with them, not in their phone, not multitasking while they're, I don't know, talking, just being there with them and being real. So I feel like that ability to listen. And I'm also a really curious person. I want to know your story. And
Mm.
by me deeply listening to it, I can pull out patterns that are happening. That's sort of a skill that I've developed, and then reflect it back to you. So, and asking questions that help to see things in a way that you might not have seen it before. I'm really grateful that I've learned those skills that I can kind of tap into my coaching. And also, I think um, I do have the ability to know when coaching is appropriate for people, and things are when people are experiencing distress or quite acute
Mm.
symptoms. Because I have worked in that space, I will be very honest with someone and say, hey, I think you need therapy, not coaching. Because
Yeah.
therapy is about going into the past. Coaching is about the present and looking at the future. Yeah, we touch on some stuff that's happened in the past, but we don't live there. So
Mm.
I think that's really important as well, to offer this person needing support.
Mm. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
so important, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
like there are a lot of coaches out there that want to just try and help everyone. And
Yes.
yeah, but that's right. Such a great point. of maybe
Yeah.
you need therapy to be able to deal with something that you're going through now, rather than, someone who's been through it but has stayed stuck in it. So there's a big
Yes,
difference. Yeah.
for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us about the alignment audit. Who is it for and what can women learn from doing it?
Oh, I'm so excited to share this because honestly, this is a tool that I wish I had 10 years ago. So the alignment audit is a personalized assessment. It's like a quiz format that any woman can access. It's completely free, takes them less than 5 minutes to do. And it's for self-aware women who feel stuck and unfulfilled, but can't exactly pinpoint what the issue is. The
Mm.
audit assesses the participant across 4 different domains: career and work, relationships and boundaries, identity and self-expression, and meaning and purpose, and asks you a series of questions to really identify where are you most out of misalignment. And once you complete the quiz, you get your results that, yes, it is sort of, so say you scored lowest in career and work. It'll talk about that, but it will talk about the root cause underneath that. Because sometimes we think, oh, it's just my job, it's not working for me.
Mm.
But there's actually more going on. And chances are it's like you've evolved, your job hasn't evolved with you. So you get a personalized result. You get some questions to kind of journal on or unpack further, and some options or sort of suggestions for next steps you might want to take. And anyone that completes the audit, they can also book in a free 30-minute session with me to just really unpack their results. And that's been so helpful for women to just speak to someone who gets it, who
Yeah.
really understands what it's like to be stuck and being like, I don't know what is wrong with me or where I'm lost here. I just know that something's wrong. And yeah, the feedback that I've had in the audit has been incredible. And I just want to share it with as many women as possible so that it can be the catalyst for the change or the awareness that people are looking for.
I love that. That is so exciting. It sounds absolutely amazing. So
Yeah, it's so
definitely
good.
we're going to put a link in here once
Great.
I upload the replay and get that right. Wow, yes. That sounds amazing. I'd even do that myself.
Yes.
So,
Well,
'cause, it doesn't matter where you are or what stage, you are of at your life, your business. We're always growing, we're always evolving. So there's
for sure.
always, one of my favorite sayings is every level has a new devil. So there's something that we've got to
Oh,
overcome to get to
yeah,
that next level, right?
for
And
sure.
yeah, and I know that women get stuck. It's like, we can have the fear of failure, but what about the fear of success? So,
Yes.
right, there's a
Yeah, for
there's a big
sure.
difference, but yeah, so I love that. I love that.
Mm.
So one last thing. What do you wish that more women gave themselves permission to do?
I'd love to say 50 things, Jane, but I'm going to say the one thing I think I would love women to give themselves permission to do is to be authentically them, because that is where freedom is found. Freedom isn't found, working remotely in the Bahamas. Freedom is found in being truly who you are and knowing yourself.
Mm.
And that is a lifelong adventure. I'm lying if I say I fully know who I am now. I'm not, but I'm committed to this journey of uncovering the depths and the layers of
Mm.
me because it feels important. It is so much more important than anything else in this world. And when you start living in accordance with who you are, that is where life gets really magical. It is challenging, but it is incredibly liberating. So, and that's what I'm really passionate about doing in my sort of one-to-one coaching with women is to support them to really reconnect with themselves, remember who they are, get clear on what they truly want, and start taking brave steps towards living in that way. Because it is confronting, it is challenging, and your old identity will pull you back in. It'll pull you
Yes.
back into a place of comfort. But, I'm there to walk with women every step of the way to this life where we're all living authentically. That's my dream.
I love that. Absolutely love it.
Mm,
Authenticity is my biggest value. And
Oh, me
yeah,
too.
I love it. I love it. So much in alignment here. So
Ah,
before we wrap up, what are you currently offering, and how
yes.
can women in the community connect with you or even work with you?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm doing one-to-one coaching, and it's all about what we've sort of been chatting about today. So women who are very self-aware but are stuck in unfulfilling lives or lives that don't feel like they fit them anymore, to reconnect to themselves, get really clear on what they truly want, and start taking brave aligned steps towards that. So I work with women for a 12-week period, and we do 6 coaching sessions. There's a bunch of other inclusions that support the work. You can speak to me in between sessions. You also get 5 meditations to keep that I've recorded that complement the work, which is really, really cool. And you can kind of keep learning how to sit with yourself and tap into your intuition. Um, and the coaching program was built upon a 3-step framework that I use, which is about radical honesty, developing a aligned vision and direction, and taking courageous action. So if you want to work with me or hear more about it, you can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm launching a website in a couple of weeks, so I'll pop off about that on my social media when the time comes. I'm really excited about it. And as well, there's a bunch of free meditations I have on Insight Timer. So if you're curious about starting that relationship or that inquiry into yourself, just search my name up on Inside Timer. I think there's about 10 there that you can listen to for free.
Oh, I love that. Sarah, thank you so much. And apologies again for getting your name wrong.
Oh,
I
no
knew I
stress.
needed to ask you that. That's why I said it. So, but thank you so
Good.
much for sharing your story and your work with us today. What
Oh,
I
you're so
really loved about this conversation is the reminder that so many women are living lives that may look fine on the outside, but inside that they know that something feels off. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is actually stop running from ourselves and start listening to what we actually want. So thank you for the work that you are doing in helping women reconnect with themselves and remembering who they are, and start creating a life that feels aligned, meaningful, and true. So, for everyone watching, please go and connect with Sara. Check out the alignment audit and support the beautiful work that she's doing. So, Sara, thank you again so much for
Mm.
joining us in Women Behind the Business. And we will all see you again soon with another incredible woman from inside the businesses in Women in Business Australia.
Thank you.